The stars stretched endlessly across the dark sky as the human exploration vessel Endeavour glided silently through the outer rim of the Zithera system. Captain Marcus Hale sat in the command chair, eyes fixed on the glowing blue planet below. Zithera was unlike any world humans had explored before. Towering cities of shining crystal and metal rose from the surface, connected by streams of light that pulsed like veins. Strange ships with curved wings moved gracefully around the planet's orbit, faster than anything human technology could match. "Sir," said Lieutenant Mara, her voice tight with awe, "we're entering the planet's atmosphere. Sensors detect life forms, very advanced, and weapon systems are active." Marcus leaned forward, studying the readings. "Keep the shields up. Stay alert. We don't know if they will welcome us or consider us invaders." The Endeavour began its descent, but Zithera's atmosphere was harsher than the sensors predicted. Strong winds and electromagnetic storms buffeted the ship. Alarms blared. Marcus barked orders, but before they could adjust, a massive pulse of energy struck the vessel. Sparks flew, and the ship lurched violently. "Brace for impact!" Marcus shouted. The world around him spun, metal groaned, and then everything went dark. When Marcus opened his eyes, he was lying on the cold ground. The sky above him was alien, purple with streaks of green lightning. The Endeavour was nowhere in sight, destroyed by the planet's storms. He pushed himself up, wincing. His crew. Were they alive? He scanned the area. Not a single human survived. Only he remained. He heard a strange sound behind him, a low hum like a combination of singing and machinery. Turning, he saw a group of tall, elegant creatures approaching. They were unlike anything he had ever seen. Their skin shimmered like liquid metal. Their eyes glowed faintly, and long, slender limbs moved with grace. At their center was a woman, or something like a woman. Her presence was commanding, almost magnetic. She was adorned in intricate armor that glimmered like starlight. Marcus felt an unexpected chill. Her eyes seemed to see right into him. "You survive," the creature said. Her voice was melodic but carried authority. "You are human. The first I have seen in 1,000 cycles." Marcus swallowed. I am Captain Marcus Hale of Earth. My ship crashed. I mean no harm." The alien tilted her head, studying him. "You are far from home, human. Your people are weak, yet your courage is unusual." Before Marcus could respond, the others, tall, armored figures, stepped forward. They surrounded him, weapons glowing faintly. Marcus raised his hands, showing he was unarmed. "I can defend myself," he said, "but I am not your enemy." The alien woman, the queen, signaled the others to lower their weapons. "Take him to the palace," she commanded. "He is to be judged by me." Marcus was escorted through the alien city, a maze of towering spires, glowing streets, and flying vehicles. Everywhere he looked, the Zalari, this alien race, moved with precision and purpose. He noticed how different their society was. No visible food markets, no children playing in the streets. Everything seemed to serve the Empire, every action purposeful. Finally, they arrived at a massive palace. It glowed with soft light, like it was carved from crystal. The queen led him inside. The grand hall was enormous, filled with creatures of every shape and size. Marcus felt small in comparison, like a child in a cathedral. The queen's gaze never left him. "I am Zyra, queen of the Zalari Empire. You are called Captain Hale. Tell me, why have you come to Zithera?" I was exploring," Marcus replied cautiously. "We received signals of a new world, resources, potential life. We meant no harm. Our mission was peaceful." Zyra's eyes narrowed. "Peaceful humans are rare. Most species you contact are weak and easily conquered. Yet you survived your vessel's destruction. You fought storms, managed your crew, and still stand. That is interesting. Marcus felt a flicker of pride. Even in this strange world, his training mattered. Your empire, Marcus began. It's vast, powerful. I don't understand your ways, but I see order, discipline, intelligence. I respect it. Zira studied him silently. Respect is earned. Courage, too. You have both, human. Perhaps more than any Zalari warrior I have seen in cycles. The hall erupted in murmurs. Whispers ran like wildfire. The Zalari had never seen a human in their presence. Rumors spread quickly. The queen had spared him from death. The empire had never allowed outsiders such privilege. Many felt uneasy, others intrigued. One of her counselors, a tall figure named Varek, stepped forward. My queen, this human is a curiosity. Should he not be returned to his kind or destroyed? He is dangerous simply by existing here. Zira's eyes flashed. Varek, silence. He remains under my observation. You will learn. Sometimes strength comes in forms you do not expect. Marcus was led to a chamber that would serve as his quarters. It was grand but austere. He had little time to rest. The culture, language, and customs of the Zalari were alien to him. Yet he noticed something. Zira's attention on him was unusual. She observed not just his actions, but his choices, his reactions, even his thoughts. Over the next days, Marcus began to adapt. He learned fragments of their language, watched their combat techniques, and studied their customs. His human ingenuity allowed him to understand patterns others missed. He quickly realized that the Zalari valued strength above all, physical, mental, and political. Yet Marcus noticed that while they were strong, they lacked certain flexibility, creativity, compassion. The human spirit, he realized, was something unique. One evening, Zira appeared in his chamber unannounced. You have survived trials that would have ended many Zalari warriors. Yet your ways are different. Marcus looked up. I only do what must be done. I care for my crew. I care for people. That is my way of being strong. Zira studied him, her expression unreadable. Perhaps strength is not only in muscle or weapon. Perhaps courage, loyalty, and thought can surpass the blade. Marcus nodded. I have fought in wars. I have led men. I have learned that courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. The queen's gaze softened ever so slightly. You speak wisely, human. Too wisely for someone so young. Word spread through the palace of Marcus's actions. Rumors of his bravery reached every corner of the Zalari Empire. He saved lives during accidents, prevented disasters, and displayed leadership and strategy the Zalari had never seen in an outsider. The council debated. Could an outsider ever be worthy of the queen's notice? Some argued it was impossible, others whispered that perhaps this human held qualities the empire desperately needed. Zira, the queen, made her decision silently. She would observe Marcus further. She would see if he could survive the challenges ahead, not as a human, not as an outsider, but as someone who could earn respect on merit alone. One night, she visited him again, silently entering his chamber. You are different, Captain Hale. I have seen the way you act, how you think. Perhaps there is more to humans than I expected. Marcus smiled faintly, a mixture of relief and disbelief. I only wish to live and to do right. That is all. Zira nodded. Perhaps that is enough, for now. Outside the palace walls, the stars shone over Zithera. Marcus, the lone human in a vast alien empire, felt the weight of his situation. He had survived the crash, earned the notice of a powerful queen, and begun to understand an entirely new culture. But he also knew danger was never far. The Zalari were proud, rigid, and fiercely traditional. One misstep could cost him his life. Yet for the first time in weeks, Marcus felt a spark of hope. In a galaxy dominated by an alien empire, he was not just surviving. He was noticed, he was learning, and perhaps he could make a difference. As he looked toward the distant spires of Zithra's palace, he felt a strange thought form in his mind. Maybe, just maybe, humans are capable of more than even the Zalari believe. And unknown to Marcus, Queen Zira, watching him from her balcony, felt the same thought in her heart. The arrival of the human warrior was only the beginning, and the Empire would never be the same. The days passed quickly on Zithra, each one a lesson in alien culture, strategy, and strength. Marcus Hale had been allowed to live, to observe, and even to act as a guest in the grand palace of Queen Zira. But he knew that this was only the beginning. The Zalari Empire was proud and rigid. Outsiders, especially humans, were rarely given such leniency. Many counselors watched him closely, waiting for a misstep. Queen Zira herself remained an enigma. Sometimes she would appear suddenly, silently watching him train or study the alien systems. Other times she would speak, asking questions about Earth, humans, or even Marcus's thoughts on courage, leadership, and loyalty. Marcus had learned that words alone were not enough. Every action mattered. Every choice was observed, judged, and interpreted. One morning, Marcus was summoned to the palace arena, a massive structure carved from crystal, gleaming in the morning light. Hundreds of Zalari citizens and warriors had gathered to witness the training. Queen Zira sat on her elevated throne, her presence commanding attention even without words. "Today, human," she said, her voice carrying across the arena, "you will begin the trial of adaptation. You will learn the ways of the Zalari warrior and show whether you can survive among us." Marcus stepped forward, trying to hide his nerves. He had faced wars on Earth, but nothing like this. The arena was filled with challenges designed for Zalari physiology. Tall walls to scale with long, strong limbs, complex combat sequences that tested reflexes faster than a human could normally respond, and puzzles requiring rapid logic and spatial awareness. A group of Zalari trainers approached him. "Do not fail," one of them said. "If you cannot meet even basic standards, you are not fit to remain." Marcus nodded. "I will do my best." The first trial was physical. He was tasked with scaling a vertical crystal wall, slick and curved without tools. His human strength was less than the Zalari's, but he remembered his training in climbing, balance, and leverage. Using his ingenuity, he spotted small ridges and patterns that allowed him to ascend efficiently. Though slower than a Zalari, he reached the top without falling. A murmur spread through the crowd. He had survived the impossible climb. Next was combat training. Marcus faced Zalari warriors in hand-to-hand combat, using their own weapons. The weapons were unlike anything he had seen, long, flexible blades that glowed faintly and reacted to movement, almost as if alive. His first attempts were clumsy, and he was pushed back multiple times, but Marcus quickly adapted. Instead of trying to match their strength, he studied their patterns. He used strategy, timing, and positioning to turn their attacks against them. By the end of the session, he had held his own, surprising both his trainers and onlookers. Queen Zira watched silently from her throne. Marcus could feel her gaze, as if she were measuring not just his skill, but his character. She noticed the way he helped injured training partners, the way he did not take unnecessary risks, and the way he remained calm under pressure. That evening, as Marcus rested in his quarters, a messenger arrived. "The Queen requests your presence," the messenger said. Marcus followed the swift, silent figure through twisting corridors until they reached the palace gardens. The gardens were unlike anything he had seen, trees that glowed faintly, flowers that changed color with emotion, and streams of water that shimmered with alien light. Queen Zira waited, leaning against a crystal railing, her expression unreadable. "You have survived your first trials, human," she said. "But strength alone will not earn respect here. You must prove your mind, your strategy, and your wisdom. The Zalari value all three equally." Marcus nodded. "I understand. I will do my best." She studied him for a long moment. "Do you know why I am watching you so closely?" Marcus hesitated. I think it is because I am different, that my ways are unusual." Zira's lips curved slightly. "Perhaps. Or perhaps it is because I see in you qualities my empire has forgotten. Courage, loyalty, and a sense of fairness. These are not weaknesses, human. They are rare strengths." The next days were filled with tests unlike any Marcus had experienced. He was given command of a small squad of Zalari warriors in simulated missions. He was tasked with defending settlements from alien predators, navigating dangerous terrain, and making choices where the lives of others were at stake. Many of the counselors doubted him, certain that a human would fail, but Marcus's choices were thoughtful, balancing courage with caution and action with compassion. During one simulation, a creature known as a Sithra, a massive predator with armored scales and lightning-fast reflexes, attacked a village. The Zalari warriors were ready to strike immediately, but Marcus noticed a pattern in the creature's movement. He coordinated the squad to protect the villagers while luring the Sithra away, avoiding unnecessary bloodshed. When the predator was finally subdued, the villagers cheered, and the Zalari warriors nodded in respect. Varek, the counselor who had been most critical of Marcus, frowned. "This human, he shows skill beyond his species. It is troubling." Zira simply smiled faintly. Troubling, yes, but also enlightening. As the days passed, Marcus began to understand more about the Zalari way of thinking. Their society valued strength and discipline above all, but it was often rigid, lacking flexibility or empathy. Marcus's human perspective allowed him to find solutions they could not imagine. And slowly, he began to earn not only the Queen's notice, but also the respect of some of the warriors. One evening, as Marcus trained alone in the arena, Zira appeared again. This time, she stepped onto the field, moving with the same precision and grace as the warriors. "You have done well, human," she said. "You adapt, you learn, and you lead. But the greatest challenge is yet to come." Marcus paused. "What is that?" "The test of the heart," Zira replied. "Your strength, skill, and intellect can carry you far. But can you make choices that honor life, loyalty, and compassion? Can you lead not only by power, but by the values that matter?" "That is the trial you face next." Marcus thought carefully. "I will do my best. That is all I can promise." Zira's eyes softened slightly. "That is enough. For now." Word of Marcus's achievements spread throughout the Empire. Some Zalari were impressed, seeing that perhaps humans could be more than they imagined. Others were fearful, unsure what it meant for the future of their tradition-bound empire. But for the Queen, the human warrior was no longer just a curiosity. He was a symbol of possibilities, of strength tempered by wisdom, courage tempered by compassion. The arena, once a place of testing and training, now became a stage for lessons and discoveries. Marcus was learning more than combat. He was learning diplomacy, culture, and the weight of leadership. And Zira, the Queen, was learning something too, about what it meant to lead, to judge, and perhaps even to choose a mate in a way no Zalari had ever done before. As night fell over Zithara, Marcus sat on a balcony, looking out at the glowing city below. The stars stretched endlessly above, reminding him how far from Earth he truly was. Yet he felt a sense of purpose. He had survived the crash, adapted to an alien world, and begun to earn respect in an empire that had never known humans. And somewhere in the palace, Queen Zira observed him from her chambers, thinking the same thought. The human warrior was unusual, unpredictable, and perhaps extraordinary. The challenge was only beginning. The morning sun cast long shadows across Zithra's crystal spires as Marcus Hale prepared for the most important challenge of his time on the planet, the trial of the heart. Unlike the earlier tests, this was not about physical strength or combat skill. This trial would test his courage, his morality, and the choices he would make when the lives of others were at stake. Queen Zira stood at the edge of the arena, her presence commanding silence. Thousands of Zalari citizens had gathered to watch. The arena itself had been transformed into a miniature city, complete with buildings, streets, and simulated dangers. The purpose of this trial was clear. Marcus must prove that his strength came not just from his body, but from his mind and heart. "Human," Zira said, her voice carrying over the crowd. "Today you will face a challenge unlike any other. You will encounter situations that demand courage, wisdom, and compassion. Your decisions will determine whether you can truly lead and survive among my people." Marcus swallowed. He had trained hard, adapted to their culture, and gained respect. But this trial was something different. It was not just about winning. It was about making the right choices under pressure. The first scenario began immediately. A group of Zalari civilians, simulated but lifelike, was trapped in a building set ablaze by an unstable energy source. Alarms blared and smoke filled the streets. Zalari warriors hesitated, unsure of the safest approach. Marcus acted quickly. He analyzed the situation, noting the structural weaknesses in the building and the positions of the civilians. He directed a small team of Zalari to create a safe exit route while he went inside to guide the civilians out. Using every ounce of his human training, he carried 2 injured civilians himself, dodging collapsing beams and bursts of energy. When the last person was safely outside, Zira's eyes widened slightly. Marcus had acted decisively, showing courage and concern for the lives of others. The crowd murmured in admiration. Even some of the most skeptical counselors looked on with surprise. The next scenario was a test of strategy. Marcus was placed in a simulated conflict between 2 villages, each threatened by alien predators that roamed the streets. His task was to defend both villages while minimizing harm to the creatures and the inhabitants. Many Zalari warriors would have attacked immediately, focusing only on their own strength and the destruction of the threat. Marcus, however, studied the movements of the predators and the layout of the villages. He set up barriers, guided the predators into open spaces where they could be contained, and coordinated the villagers to safety. It was a risky approach. One mistake, and lives could have been lost. But Marcus's careful planning worked. The predators were subdued with minimal harm, and both villages were saved. Zira nodded in approval. She saw in Marcus not only bravery, but also ingenuity. The human mind, she realized, could approach problems differently than the Zalari. After a brief pause, the final part of the trial began. This scenario would test his moral courage. A group of Zalari rebels determined to disrupt the Empire had taken innocent civilians hostage. Marcus's task was to resolve the situation without unnecessary bloodshed. Marcus studied the scene carefully. The rebels were heavily armed and desperate, but they were also afraid of harming innocents. Using his calm voice and quick thinking, Marcus spoke to the rebels, appealing to their sense of reason and self-preservation. At the same time, he guided the hostages to safety using distractions and calculated movements. It was tense. One wrong step could have led to disaster. But Marcus remained focused, trusting his instincts and his training. Gradually, the rebels surrendered, realizing that further resistance would endanger their own lives and the civilians. Marcus had achieved victory without violence, a feat the Zalari rarely witnessed. Queen Zira stepped forward once the trial ended, her expression unreadable. "Human, you have completed the trial of the heart," she said. "You have shown courage, wisdom, and compassion. You have faced danger, saved lives, and made difficult choices. These are qualities I value above all." The crowd erupted in applause. Many Zalari whispered among themselves, astonished. Humans, they realized, were capable of more than they had ever believed. Marcus's success challenged their assumptions about strength, courage, and leadership. Varek, the counselor who had doubted him from the start, stepped forward reluctantly. "My queen, it seems this human has proven himself. Perhaps we misjudged him." Zira's eyes softened. "You have learned an important lesson, Varek. Strength is not measured only in power. It is measured in courage, wisdom, and the choices we make." As the crowd dispersed, Marcus remained in the arena. Exhausted, but exhilarated. He had faced challenges no human should have faced and had emerged victorious. But more importantly, he had earned respect, not just from the Queen, but from the people of the Zalari Empire. Later that evening, Zira visited Marcus in his quarters. The room was bathed in soft light, reflecting the colors of the alien city outside. She stood silently for a moment, watching him. "You have exceeded my expectations, human," she said finally. "I have observed warriors in this empire for cycles. Few have shown the qualities you possess. You have courage, wisdom, and heart. You are extraordinary." Marcus felt a flush of pride, though he tried to remain humble. "I only did what I thought was right," he said. "I only tried to save lives and make the best choices I could. That is all I know how to do." Zira's eyes gleamed. "Perhaps that is enough. But there is one thing you must understand. The Empire will not easily accept what you have achieved. You are different, an outsider. Many will resist, many will doubt, and some will even seek to harm you. Yet, I see potential in you. More than potential, perhaps a future unlike any we have known." Marcus nodded slowly. "I understand. I am ready to face whatever comes next." The Queen stepped closer, her gaze intense. "There is a tradition in the Zalari Empire. The Queen chooses her mate not only for companionship, but for leadership and guidance. Many will expect me to select from among our own kind. Choosing an outsider is unthinkable. And yet, I find myself considering it." Marcus felt a mixture of surprise and uncertainty. He had trained, survived, and earned respect, but he had never imagined being considered in such a way. "You must not be confused," Zira continued. "This is not a choice made lightly. The future of the Empire could be influenced by what happens next. But your courage, your wisdom, your heart have caught my attention in ways no Zalari warrior ever has." Marcus swallowed. I am honored. I do not know if I am worthy, but I will do my best in whatever role you deem appropriate." Zira smiled faintly, a rare softness in her expression. "Your humility is another strength. For now, rest, human. Tomorrow, you will face challenges that will determine not only your place in this empire, but the trust of those who watch you." As Marcus lay down to rest, he thought about how far he had come. From a crashed ship on a hostile planet to the arena where the entire empire had witnessed his courage, he had proven more than just his strength. He had proven the human spirit. And as Zira looked out from her balcony over the glowing city, she thought the same. The human warrior had faced trials of body, mind, and heart, and had emerged as someone who might one day stand beside her in ways no one could have imagined. The trial of the heart was complete. Yet the story was only beginning. The empire would soon see a new era, shaped not only by tradition, but by the extraordinary courage of a human from a distant world. For Marcus Hale, the human warrior, the galaxy was full of unknowns. But he knew one thing for certain. He had earned the respect of a queen, and perhaps the chance to change the destiny of an entire empire. The grand hall of Zithra's palace was alive with murmurs and whispers. Thousands of Zalari citizens, warriors, and counselors had gathered to witness what many believed would be the most important announcement in generations. The air buzzed with anticipation. Some were curious, some were anxious. Few could imagine what was about to happen. Queen Zira sat on her throne, her presence calm but commanding. Her eyes scanned the crowd, lingering on Marcus Hale, the human warrior who had shocked the empire with his courage, intelligence, and heart. The trials were complete. The arena had tested him in every way the Zalari knew how to measure strength and leadership. Now the ultimate decision remained. Zira rose slowly, her voice echoing through the hall. Today, the Zalari Empire witnesses not only trials of strength and wisdom, but the recognition of qualities that define true leadership. Courage, loyalty, compassion. These are the traits that shape the destiny of an empire. The crowd fell silent. Every eye was fixed on her. Captain Marcus Hale, she continued, her gaze meeting his, you have faced challenges no human or Zalari should have endured. You have led, you have protected, and you have acted with wisdom and honor. In doing so, you have shown a strength that cannot be measured by muscle or weapon alone. Marcus felt his heart beat faster. The words were extraordinary. Yet he remained calm, understanding that this moment carried weight far beyond his own life. The queen paused, letting her words settle over the empire. The Zalari tradition dictates that the queen chooses her mate from among her own people. It is a choice that influences politics, leadership, and legacy. Today, I make a decision that will break tradition, challenge expectations, and perhaps change the future of our empire. Whispers rippled through the hall. Many counselors shifted uneasily. The idea that an outsider, a human, might be considered a mate to the queen was unthinkable. Yet the room was silent, awaiting her words. Marcus Hale, Zira said finally, her voice clear and unwavering. I choose you. Shock swept through the crowd. Gasps echoed and eyes widened in disbelief. A human, a visitor from a distant star, chosen as mate by the queen of the Zalari Empire. It was unprecedented. Some warriors looked down in anger, others in confusion, and yet some began to smile, recognizing the courage and wisdom that Marcus had displayed. Marcus took a deep breath. He had not expected this, yet he understood the responsibility it carried. Your Majesty, he said, bowing his head slightly, I am honored beyond words. I do not know if I am worthy, but I promise to serve the Empire with the courage, loyalty, and wisdom you have shown me to value. Zira's expression softened, the weight of centuries of tradition and expectation evident in her gaze. I do not ask for perfection, human. I ask for honesty, courage, and a willingness to act with heart. You have already proven these qualities in every trial. Now you will stand not only by my side, but as a partner in shaping the future of the Zalari Empire. The murmurs grew louder, some questioning, others admiring. Varek, the counselor who had doubted Marcus from the beginning, stepped forward, his expression conflicted. My queen, this decision, it defies tradition. It will take time for many to understand and some may resist. Zira nodded. I am aware. Change is never easy. But leadership is not about fear of tradition. It is about courage to embrace what is right, even if it is unexpected. This human warrior has shown that true strength lies not in heritage, but in character. Slowly, the crowd began to absorb the meaning of her words. They had witnessed Marcus's trials. They had seen him act with courage, intelligence, and compassion. Perhaps they realized the queen had chosen wisely. Marcus stepped forward, his voice strong and steady. "People of the Zalari Empire," he said, addressing the assembly, "I am an outsider. I come from a world far from yours. I do not claim to know all your ways or traditions, but I do promise to honor your people, to act with courage, and to lead with heart. Together, we can protect this empire, face any threat, and build a future where all can thrive." The crowd's reaction shifted from shock to cautious hope. Some nodded, inspired by his sincerity. Others remained skeptical, but could not ignore the undeniable courage and wisdom he had displayed. In the following days, Marcus and Zira worked together to introduce him formally to the council and the people. He observed the inner workings of the empire, learning about governance, strategy, and diplomacy. His human perspective brought new ideas, ways to improve communication, enhance defense, and build trust among distant colonies. Zira noticed the subtle changes, the way her people began to listen, to consider ideas that had previously been dismissed. The partnership between Marcus and Zira grew stronger. They trained together, planned together, and discussed the future of the empire. Slowly, the Zalari began to see that strength was not only about power or tradition, it was about courage, morality, and vision. Marcus's presence reminded them that even an outsider could contribute, inspire, and lead. Not everyone accepted this change immediately. Some factions resisted, plotting behind the scenes, uneasy with the Queen's unprecedented choice. Yet Marcus's actions continued to prove his worth. He led successful missions to distant colonies, defended settlements from external threats, and mediated disputes with fairness and diplomacy. Each success strengthened his position and gradually won over skeptics. Zira, observing all this, felt a quiet satisfaction. The human warrior had exceeded her expectations in every way. He had faced every trial with integrity, courage, and heart. And now, as her mate and partner, he represented not only hope for her personally, but a new vision for the empire. One evening, as the twin moons of Zithara rose over the palace, Marcus and Zira stood on the balcony overlooking the glowing city. The wind carried the scent of alien flora, and the stars reflected in the crystal spires. "You have changed this empire, Marcus," Zira said softly, "not just by your actions, but by showing what true strength really means. You have reminded my people, and me, that courage, wisdom, and heart are more important than tradition alone." Marcus smiled faintly. "I have learned from you, Zira. Your leadership, your vision, it inspires people to do better, to think differently. I only hope I can live up to what you expect." Zira reached out, touching his hand lightly. "You already have, and together, we will continue to shape the empire. There will be challenges, and there will be those who resist change. But I believe that with you by my side, we can face anything." For the first time since his arrival, Marcus felt a deep sense of belonging. He was no longer just a human on an alien world. He was part of something greater. An empire that, despite its pride and tradition, had begun to embrace the possibilities of courage, wisdom, and heart. The news of the Queen's choice spread throughout the galaxy. Neighboring empires watched with surprise and curiosity. The human warrior who had become the Queen's mate symbolized something extraordinary, the potential for change, unity, and strength beyond what was expected. And within the palace, Marcus and Zira prepared for the future. Together, they trained, governed, and explored ways to protect the empire from internal and external threats. They faced challenges, yes, but they faced them as partners, bound not just by duty, but by respect, trust, and the shared understanding of what it truly meant to lead. In the days that followed, humans and Zalari began to work side by side. Colonies that had been distant and isolated received aid. guidance, and protection. Trade routes flourished. Knowledge was exchanged. The empire slowly transformed, strengthened not only by tradition, but by the ingenuity, courage, and heart of a human who had dared to survive, adapt, and lead. As the sun set over Zithera, Marcus and Zyra stood together at the balcony once more. The city below glowed with light, life, and energy. They did not know what the future would hold, but they knew one thing. The Empire had entered a new era, one shaped not by fear, tradition, or rigid rules, but by courage, wisdom, and the extraordinary strength of the human spirit. And so, the human warrior who had arrived as a stranger far from home became a symbol of hope, unity, and change. The queen had chosen him, not because he was like the Zalari, but because he was human, brave, wise, and true of heart. Together they would face the challenges ahead, and together they would build a future no one could have imagined. The story of Marcus Hale and Queen Zira was only beginning, but the galaxy already knew one truth. Humans were capable of greatness beyond measure.